What if? What if we just started over from scratch? I wonder if she's already left the office. Suppose you had $1 million. What would you do first? In case it rains, bring an umbrella with you. Assuming that everything goes well, we'll be done by Friday. Chances are he already knows about the surprise party. Even though I was tired, I still went to the gym. Although it was expensive, we decided to buy it anyway. But I wanted to go, but I had too much work to finish. Still, it was raining, but we still went for a walk. That said, the plan has some risks. That said, I think we should try it. Having said that, he can be difficult. Having said that, he's very talented. On the other hand, I love the city. On the other hand, I miss the quiet countryside. Because I stayed home because I wasn't feeling well. Since you're already here, why don't you stay for dinner? So, it started raining, so we canceled the picnic. That's why. She studies every night. That's why she gets good grades. As a result, he missed the deadline. As a result, the project got delayed. Which means the store is closed today, which means we'll have to go tomorrow. Actually, I think you're right about that. In fact, this is the best coffee I've had all year. To be honest, I don't think this plan will work. The thing is, I already promised to help someone else. I mean, it's not a big deal, but I was surprised. Especially, I love all seasons, especially autumn. Particularly, this restaurant is particularly good for seafood. Anyway, let's get back to what we were talking about. By the way, did you get my message yesterday? Speaking of which, have you seen the new movie yet? Anyhow, we should probably start heading home soon. So yeah, that's basically what happened. Moving on, let's talk about the budget for next month. No way, I can't believe you actually did that. That makes sense. I didn't think of it that way. I see what you mean. That changes things a bit. Fair enough. I guess we can try it your way. Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. Totally. I agree with you 100%. I guess we could just order pizza instead. Kind of. It was kind of awkward when he said that. Sort of. I sort of forgot we had plans tonight. What if we missed our flight tomorrow morning? Because the meeting ran late, I skipped lunch entirely. Fair enough. Let's do it your way this time. The thing is, nobody actually checked the numbers first. Especially, she loves reading, especially mystery novels before bed. Even though he apologized, she still felt hurt. I guess we'll just have to wait until Monday. Speaking of which, did you finish that report yet? Chances are the traffic will be terrible this afternoon. So, the printer broke down, so we sent everything by email. No way. They actually finished the whole project already. On the other hand, the apartment is cheap. On the other hand, it's far from downtown. I wonder if he ever got my voicemail from last week. That's why. He forgot his umbrella. That's why he got soaked. Actually, the museum closes earlier on weekends. Sort of. The instructions were sort of confusing at first. Assuming that the flight isn't delayed, we'll land by noon. That makes sense. I was wondering why the door was locked. Anyhow, I should probably get back to work now. In fact, this neighborhood used to be a farm. Suppose your boss asked you to work this weekend. What would you say? Kind of. The ending of that movie was kind of predictable. As a result, the bridge was closed. As a result, traffic backed up for miles. Although the hike was tiring, the view made it worth it. I mean, we could always reschedule if it's too soon. By the way, your package arrived while you were out, which means the store changed its hours. which means we need a new plan. Still, he lost the game, but he still smiled the whole time. To be honest, I forgot we even had a meeting today. Totally. That show is way better than everyone said. Exactly. That's the part that confused me too. In case the power goes out, keep some candles ready. Having said that, the city is crowded. Having said that, there's always something new to see. Moving on. Let's look at next quarter's numbers. I see what you mean. Maybe we should ask someone else first. Particularly, the soup here is particularly good in winter. That said, the offer sounds great. That said, we should read the contract first. So yeah, we ended up just staying in that night. But she wanted to help, but she didn't know where to start. Although the movie was long, nobody left the theater early. So yeah, we just decided to order takeout instead. I wonder if the store still has that jacket in stock. Because it was her birthday, we booked her favorite restaurant. Fair enough. I didn't think about it that way. Chances are the meeting will get pushed to next week. Even though the coffee was cold, he drank it anyway. Moving on. Does anyone have questions about the budget? Sort of. The hotel room was sort of smaller than the pictures showed. To be honest, I never really understood that rule. What if the interview gets rescheduled at the last minute? That makes sense. That's probably why he left early. Particularly, this app is particularly useful for tracking expenses. By the way, I saw your car parked outside earlier. Still, the Wi-Fi was down, but the team still finished on time. I guess we could just walk instead of driving. As a result, the flight was delayed. As a result, we missed our connection. Suppose the client says no. What's our backup plan? Actually, I already sent that email this morning, which means the venue got canceled, which means we need a new date. Having said that, the neighborhood is quiet. Having said that, parking can be tricky. No way. She actually finished the marathon in under 4 hours. In case you forget, I'll send you a reminder tomorrow. That's why. He skipped breakfast. That's why he got so hungry later. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's a good start. Exactly. That's the exact issue we ran into last time. In fact, I used to live just around the corner from here. Assuming that the weather holds up, we'll have the picnic outside. Speaking of which, do you know if the store's open today? Totally. I felt the exact same way about the ending. But he tried his best, but the plan just didn't work out. Kind of. The instructions were kind of hard to follow, honestly. I see what you mean. We probably should double-check first. The thing is, we already used up most of the budget. Anyhow, I think it's time we head out. On the other hand, the job pays well. On the other hand, the hours are brutal. That said, the idea sounds risky. That said, it might actually work. So, the store was closed, so we went to the one next door. What if the whole project has to start over again? In fact, I've never actually tried sushi before. Because the roads were icy, school got canceled for the day. Sort of. He sort of hinted that he might quit soon. Chances are the restaurant will be packed on a Friday night. Fair enough. We can meet halfway on this one. Even though she was nervous, she gave a great presentation. That's why. The bus was late, that's why I missed the meeting. I guess we'll figure it out as we go. Speaking of which, did you ever hear back from them? Actually, the deadline got moved up to Thursday, which means he lost his badge, which means he can't get into the office. Suppose the deal falls through, what happens to the deposit? Still, the show got bad reviews, but people still lined up to see it. By the way, By the way, thanks for covering my shift last week. To be honest, I skipped most of the reading. No way, they raised the price that much overnight. In case anyone asks, tell them I stepped out for lunch. The thing is, half the team already left for the day. On the other hand, the house has a great view. On the other hand, it needs a lot of work. Assuming that traffic isn't bad, we should get there by 6. That makes sense. That explains why nobody answered the phone. I wonder if they ever fixed that broken elevator. So, the internet went down, so we couldn't finish the call. Exactly. That's why I brought it up in the first place. He's particularly picky about how his coffee is made. Moving on, let's talk about who's handling the next event. Having said that, the plan sounds solid. Having said that, we should have a backup. I mean, we could try again tomorrow if today doesn't work. Kind of. The whole situation felt kind of unnecessary, honestly. As a result, the server crashed. As a result, we lost some of the data. Although he was new, he picked up the job quickly. That said, the area's nice. That said, it's pretty far from the subway. Totally. I couldn't agree with you more on that. I see what you mean. Maybe we moved too fast on this. But she apologized, but he still seemed upset about it. Anyhow, let's just pick this up again tomorrow. So yeah, we ended up canceling the whole trip.